This is the next lecture in the series, and what we covered was about the conventional sources, about the non-conventional sources, and in the non-conventional sources, one of the main kind of power generation possible is based on the solar power. Solar power is a bit available abundantly in the environment or from the naturally from the sun energy, and it could be available for thousands of years coming, and this could be considered as a conventional source of energy. And based on the solar power, you could have a solar power plant, which is basically converting the solar energy to heat the water and convert it to steam. But what we will be talking about is the solar based photovoltaic cell based power plant based on the solar array or the solar cell. So it will be a quick discussion, and this lecture is not much big like the previous lectures, as there is not much to cover based on the photovoltaic conversion of electrical power, and this will happen based on the solar radiation. So essentially a photovoltaic cell, whenever the radiation in the form of a wave, heat is a form, light is a form of wave energy, and whenever that will be hitting, it will be causing the movement of electron, and that will cause the flow of energy. So it's again a basic working of a photovoltaic cell if you go into more detail of that in the semiconductor physics or in the electronics, etc. So again, there would, if you see a simple layout possible for a photovoltaic cell arrangement or a solar connection, uh, for the conversion of solar energy to the electrical energy. So there will be a solar PV array. So PV will be solar panels. So you can have different kinds of solar panels. So this will be arranged based on the amount of output which you want. So it will, the amount of output from a single solar panel available will be very less. So you will need to have multiple solar panels connected in parallel to a series to obtain the desired amount of energy or the desired amount of conversion. So once the energy obtained from the solar panels or the solar array will be in the DC energy, so you will need to store the amount of DC energy in a battery, and you will need to convert that energy to the AC energy so that it can be used with your equipments. So the electrical power which is coming to your house and the grid which is supplying power to your load center, so supplying power to the load center, all operate on the alternating current. And the DC power using the photovoltaic cell does not have something like a prime mover which is a turbine, and it does not have a DC AC generator like alternator or a synchronous generator. So whatever is here is a photovoltaic cell which needs to be in the solar panels, and you need multiple solar panels connected to generate the amount of DC power usually needed to supply the loads like a house, or it could be a small village, or it could be the power which can be connected to the grid to supply it as excess power. So this power will be converted from DC form to AC form using an inverter, and then they will be connected to the AC distribution board or the circuit breaker, switch gears, etc., and then it will be finally connected to the grid, and it can be connected to the grid or it can be supplied to the load. Grid will, the power, excess power, if you are generating, like if you are generating 100 kilowatt of power and you need only 50 kilowatt, or you are generating 1000 kilowatt of power and you need only 100 kilowatt, then you keep the 100 kilowatt, and it's possible to store the excess amount of energy using in the DC form using the battery banks or using different battery arrays. So if you want to store it, you'll have to make the arrangement for storing, but it's usually not economical, and it's not possible to store large amount of electrical power in the batteries as a backup in an economical way. So usually it is more economical if you can supply that power back to the grid, and it's possible in some countries where the government will pay you back for the amount of power you're supplying to the grid from the solar installation which you have. So it's also possible to reduce the cost of your electricity by having a solar arrangement or a solar installation in your house. So this is unlike the other kinds of power plants, like can be only being owned by a specific kind of company or organization, and they will be supplying the power. In case of a solar power plant, it's more economical than having a diesel power plant or a combustion based power plant generator in your house. It's even bit more compatible. So that if you're having a power plant like a diesel power plant or gas based power plant in your house, a nearby location to your residence, then also the operating cost will be high. Also, the installation cost is somewhat similar, but again, I'm not gone to details of costing it out for the load requirement or the kilowatt requirement. But again, it will be noise causing. Again, you'll have to constantly supply the amount of fuel required. But if you're having installation of solar power plant, you can have it at your own residence. Also, it will reduce your bill. Also, it's possible to generate in excess and supply it back to the grid. Even if you're not supplying it, it's possible to generate the amount of power you need, and trying to be independent by not depending on any government or any private organization for supplying you the power can be a good idea. But again, it's not possible in all kind of scenario. Like if you are staying in a building, it's not possible to install the solar power plants or solar power panels yourself. So again, it will need specific kind of space. Your house needs to be having that kind of space to accommodate the solar panels. But it's a good investment, and considering there are a lot of subsidies even offered by the different governments of different countries, even in India, so it could be a good idea to have your own installation of a solar power plant, by both causing the reduction in the electricity, also causing a sense of independence in the amount of usage of electricity you are having. You are generating it yourself. Also, it's more clean kind of energy and more environment friendly and more green. But all those are the multitude factors. But again, if this, you can find different lectures in the series in the playlist in the description. Also, if you want me to cover some other topics, please do comment. And that's all.